Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. So the most important news and editorial that is relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 10th of December. The first important news, that is University Grant Commissions to announce new framework for the undergraduate courses. This will be a 4-year program that will be incorporated in all the universities across the country. Second, ILO declaration urged countries to ensure labor participations. Third, Center introduced bill to modify ST list in 4 states, that is with regards to the scheduled tribe. Fourth, Digital India Bill to replace the IT Act 2000. And the last is an editorial expanding the food safety net without any more delay. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions, and these questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I begin this session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do press a like button. Starting the session with the first news, that is UGC to announce new framework for the UG courses. Something important for General Studies Paper 2 under the subtopic, that is issues related to development and management of education and human resources. So recently, the University Grant Commission or UGC has finalized a draft framework for 4-year undergraduate program, that is also known as FYUGP, that will be implemented in all higher educational institutions in the country from the upcoming academic session, that is for 2023 and 2024. तो जितने भी एडमिशंस नेक्स्ट एकेडमिक ईयर से होंगे उनमें अब यूजी के जो प्रोग्राम्स हैं वो 4 years के होंगे. दिस विल बी अ मैंडेटरी 4-year programs, right? And according to the UGC, the new rules for the 4-year undergraduate courses will be shared with all universities across the country. And beside all 45 central universities in India, the 4-year undergraduate की program है will also be implemented in most of the states private universities from the next academic session, that is for 2023 and 24. Apart from this, many deemed universities are also going to give consent to the implementation of this program. Why there's such implementation, we'll see the rationale behind this as well. Now, 4-year undergraduate courses की अगर बात करें from the academic session 2023 and 24, where all new students will have to opt for the 4-year undergraduate program, and this program will likely to get the UGC approval for old student as well. जिन बच्चों ने पुराने सेशन में एनरोल की है उनके पास भी ऑप्शंस होंगे कि वो 4-year program को कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं, which means that student who have taken admission in the normal year, basically for the earlier year, which was having basically 3-year program, now they will also have an opportunity to join the 4-year degree program from the next academic session. According to the University Grant Commission, this 4-year undergraduate course will be provided to all students, but the student will not be forced to opt in, right? सारे students को मिलेंगे, उसमें अलग verticals होंगे. अगर आपने first year में किया, then you will be getting a diploma degree. Second year, accordingly, the rules will be set. Even the draft is not yet finalized, so I'm abstraining myself from commenting on that part. But once it is being finalized, we'll get the details of it, and the mandatory part will be there that अगर आप चाहें तो 4-year के प्रोग्राम करके बाद में आगे PhD करने में उसकी कैसे हेल्प होगी, we'll see that on the later part of the video as well. Now, if the student wishes, he can continue with the 3-year undergraduate courses as well. And if university wishes, the student studying in the final year can also be given opportunity to be the part of 4-year undergraduate courses. The UGC will also give freedom to the universities to make some rules and regulations. Necessary rules can be fixed in this regard in the Academic Council and Executive Council of the universities. Now, criteria for the admissions to the PhD, how this will define and give a new way of hope to the student who will be pursuing their PhD programs. So After the 4-year undergraduate courses, it will be mandatory for the student to pursue 2-year graduations and MPhil and score 55% marks to get admission in the PhD. Although गवर्नमेंट ने जो थीसिस है उसकी सबमिशंस को बेसिकली रिमूव कर दिया है, बहुत सारी प्रोसेस को ईज डाउन किया है, सो दैट एन ईजी एडमिशंस टू पीएचडी और अ डॉक्टरेट शुड बी गिवन. तो उसके लिए कुछ मिनिमम क्राइटेरिया है परसेंटेज की, दैट इज 55%, राइट? However, the MPhil program will not be continued for much longer, and also the big university will offer MPhil courses in the coming year as well. So these are some of the changes that has been brought in by the University Grant Commission, and this will be done due to the changes made under the new education policy, that is NEP 2020. So जो new education policy है उसके alignment में ये सारी चीजें की जा रही है. Now, the concern has been raised about from some expert and the university people as well. While the UGC is fully prepared for the full 4-year undergraduate program, but many teachers and teachers organization have registered these objections about this program implementations, and they have urged that it will put additional burden of 1 year in the student. So this is what the basically expert have said regarding the implementation of the process. Now, new credit and curriculum framework will also be there. So the University Grant Commission is expected to announce the new credit and curriculum framework for undergraduate program, which prescribe the outstanding India modern and language of yoga, the curriculum and the credit framework of undergraduate program. The UGC aims to implement the recommendations of the National Education Policy for making higher education multidisciplinary. And this will replace the choice based credit system जो कि अभी currently बहुत सारे universities में है. Even for Delhi University and many other university are operating with the CBCS system. So this will be a predate to the NEP, and the framework is recommendatory, not compulsory in nature. Now, moving to the other news, ILO declaration urged countries to ensure better labor participations or protection. Something important for General Studies Paper 2, that is important international institution, agencies, structure and their mandate. And it is also important for General Studies Paper 2 in the same topic where government policies and intervention are concerned. So the ongoing 17th Asia Pacific Regional Meeting of International Labour Organization, also known as ILO, has set 10-point priorities at national action level for the member countries to deal with the demanding ways of worker, inflations and unemployment. So these are the 3 core areas upon which the discussion was made in the ILO 17th Asia and Pacific Regional Meeting. Now, Singapore Declaration adopt की गई है. This is very important. This is more important for prelims examination, and in the mains purposes you can use it as an example, right? So 17th Asia Pacific Regional Meeting of International Labour Organization has adopted the Singapore Declarations to address the market challenges and find solutions in the crisis situation. It has urged the government, that is for the country, all the members party, to ensure the better protections through the promotions of freedom of association and effective recognitions of a right to collective bargaining throughout the region. And this also include the worker that is vulnerable in the situations, or the worker in the informal economy can have the enabling right for the decent work. The other important aspect in this meeting was closing the gender gap, right? The gender gap between the men and women should be completely vanished and closed. So the Singapore Declaration called for closing the gender gap in the world of the work. And this is again important for the mains examination if you're writing. अगर आपने कोई ऐसा क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट करनी है जेंडर न्यूट्रलिटी को लेकर के या जेंडर गैप को कम करने के लिए, इस तरह के आप एग्जाम्पल जरूर कोट करें. So what does this declaration call for? It called for measuring that increase women labor participation force, promoting equal work, equal pay with equal value, balance work and responsibility, promoting women leadership, right? And the declaration has also urged the participating government to ensure governance framework and respect to the freedom of association to protect the right of the migrant workers. It also called for measures to increase women participation in the labor force and promote equal pay for equal work. It should not having any disparity between the men and women. तो किसी भी तरह से बेसिकली जो डिफरेंसेस हैं वो नहीं होनी चाहिए और जेंडर गैप को पूरी तरह से खत्म करने की जरूरत है. दिस इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द कोर एसेंस ऑफ द सिंगापुर डिक्लेरेशंस. Moving to the other news, Center introduced bill to modify ST list in the 4 states. Something important for General Studies Paper 2 under the subtopic that is welfare schemes for the vulnerable section of the population by the center and the state government. So recently, the center has introduced 4 separate bill in the Lok Sabha that seeks to modify scheduled tribe list in the 4 states of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Himachal Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. तो ये 4 ऐसे स्टेट्स हैं जहाँ पे अमेंडमेंट की जाएगी with the proposed constitutional scheduled tribe order 1950. The Union Minister for Tribal Affairs has actually introduced this bill, and the demand for the inclusion to dates before 1965 was also there, and even the Lokur committee in its report has also recommended for the inclusion. तो कौन कौन सी ऐसी कमिटीज जो पहले बनी है, we'll look into that. That is very important for your mains examination. So some advised committee that was formed for ST community by the center. The first among them is the Lokur committee that was set up to look into the criteria for defining the schedule type, how it should be decided. So the committee actually recommended, I'm talking about the Lokur committee, they have given 5 criteria for identification, namely the primitive traits, distinct culture, geographical isolation, shyness of the contract with the community at large, and the backwardness. So these are the 5 important criteria that was given by the Lokur committee. After this, actually this committee was formed in 1965. उसके बाद गवर्नमेंट ने रिसेंट में 2002-2004 में भी कमेटी बनाई, दैट इज बूरिया कमीशंस, that focuses upon wide range of issues from the earlier recommendations, and it has also called for the tribal land and forest, health and education's working of panchayat, and the status of tribal movement should also be taken into consideration before it actually designate any community to the ST community. Now, inclusions and synonyms to the community. So the bill seeks to add certain communities. This include Nari Kovaram and Kuru Viranam in the hill tribe of ST of Tamil Nadu. The Hatti tribe, which is there in the Siramur district of Himachal Pradesh, has also been recently added as a ST community. Right? The government has moved a bill to introduce Beta Kurba as a synonyms to, which is categorized as Kadu Kurba in ST of Karnataka. So some name change has also been there by the central government. It has moved a bill to add the numbers of synonyms in Devanagari script that is already known as Bharia Bhumia tribe in the ST community of Chhattisgarh. And the ministry has added that they are all part of the same tribe, but to keep out the differences and to spell out the difference name, the synonyms were also used with a different name and the different community. Now, moving to the other news, Digital India Bill to replace IT Act 2000, something important for General Studies Paper 2 under the subtopic that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from its design and implementations. So the center is considering on regulating the wide gamut of online platform like social media sites, e-commerce entities, fact-checking portals, artificial intelligence-based portal under a fresh legislation. This will be called as Digital India Bill. Very, very important for your prelims examination. A direct question can also be framed in the mains examination about the requirement and the need for this kind of legislation. So be prepared for analytical level of the question also. The bill will replace the Information Act 2000, which is currently India's core legal framework to regulate the entities of the internet. So this will be replaced, and the government has learned to have completed the drafting of Digital India Bill that could release for the public consultation by the end of this month, that is by the end of December. And once finalized, the bill will impact the big tech companies like Google, Amazon, Meta, and even Amazon, Maple, and other. These will be some of the part of the companies that will be definitely impacted under the India's rules, jurisdictions, and law. फॉर्मेशन ऑफ डिजिटल रेगुलेटर की बात की गई है, जिस तरह से इंडिया में सेबी रेगुलेटर है, बेसिकली मार्केट रेगुलेटर्स है, उसी तरह से टेरई है हमारे पास जो कि टेलीकॉम को रेगुलेट करती है. The new legislation will call for a regulator in the digital space akin to the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, and this will introduce the penal consequences for the violations of prescribed governing provisions for emerging technologies like metaverse and blockchain. The newly law added is expected to have the provisions of algorithm accountability and social media platform. तो जितने भी social media platform है उनके लिए मैंडेटरी होगी कि वो algorithm accountability को भी कंसिडर करें अपने सारे operations में. Now, rationale behind this decision, the Digital India Bill, basic idea is to have intermediaries that do not have control over the contented post. उनके platforms में कई बार ऐसे देखी गई है. The government wanted to incorporate a safe harbor, which is essentially a legal immunity that enjoy against the third party posting like acting as a platform, and a long adherence to certain due diligence that is required to down inappropriate content when flagged by the government. So government is trying to have basically a surveillance of the part in terms of postage of the digital media content in any multilateral forum as well. So the law will prescribe different kinds of intermediaries because of their regulation that has to be different in nature. Now, the current provisions under the IT Act of 2000, under the Information Act 2000, there is no classification of intermediaries. And in 2021, the Ministry of Electronics and IT has released the information technology, which was for the time created a separate classification of social media intermediaries and introduced the specific regulations to them. However, as of now, there are no specific regulations of e-commerce entities or the fact-checking platform beyond what it is prescribed for the intermediaries under the IT Act. Now, in fact, under the current understanding of the fact-checking, portals are now considered as intermediaries and are treated as publishers. Moving to the editorial of the day, that is expanding the food security net without any more delay. This particular editorial is important for General Studies paper 2 under the subtopic that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. So under this editorial, there are several issues that has been discussed. First, talking about the theme of this editorial, that is issues and problem in India's PDS. And the issues include PDS during the COVID-19 lockdown, the exclusions problem, leniency in updating the data, sidestepping the court suggestions, and on the coverage by states and the way forward. So the basic concepts of food security, precisely for any country, is to ensure that all people at by time should get access to basic food and their active healthy life. Right? This is the basic premise or the definition of the food security. The food security की बात की जाती है तो ये definition पूरी होनी चाहिए. The National Food Security Act in India, which was drafted in 2013, through the public distribution system, provide a crucial safety net for roughly 800 million people. The objective of National Food Security Act is to provide the food and nutritional security and human cycle approach by ensuring accessible to adequate quantity of quality food, affordable price to the people life with dignity. PDS ड्यूरिंग कोविड-19 लॉकडाउन में कैसे इसकी यूटिलाइजेशन की, किस तरह से ये एक सेवियर की तरह गवर्नमेंट के लिए काम किया, इवन फॉर द सिटीजन ऑफ दिस कंट्री. द एफर्ट वाज मेड बाय बोथ द सेंटर एंड द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट इन द PDS. And even though PDS was appreciated by the critics who actually have criticized this program, have actually appreciated the effort that was made during the COVID-19 lockdown. And this program of the PDS has helped many people to get the basic necessity food. The humanitarian crisis resulting because of the COVID-19 lockdown was apparent and too many were still excluded from the PDS. Although ऐसा नहीं है सारे लोगों को benefits मिली है, still exclusion थी, काफी लोग नहीं थे. उसके क्या problems है, we'll discuss that on the later part of the video. And in response to the humanitarian crisis, the government has made one sensible policy decision swiftly. and it doubled the entitled of 800 million who were already covered by the PDS, that is for 5 kilograms per person per month to 10 kg. तो पहले जहाँ पे 5 kg दी जाती थी उसे बढ़ा करके 10 kg किया गया. Now, but all nothing of all without the ration card, but mandatory part was that the ration card was required. Now, even it does not for those without a ration card. तो इसका मतलब ये कि कई ऐसे लोग भी थे जिन्हें जरूरत थी, but because of the ration card, they were not given the benefits. Now, exclusions problem की अगर बात करें, the problem could because of the national food security coverage ratio were too low, और कई बार इसे एज अ फ्रीज भी माना जाता है because the numbers has not increased, it has only stagnant to 800 million. The PDS coverage is determined by section 3 subsection 2 of the NFS 2030, and it states that the entitlement of eligible householders that extend to 70% of rural population. तो इसकी जो extension है 70% रखी गई है rural population के लिए और 50% for the urban population. And Section 9 of the National Food Security Act required that the total number of persons to be covered shall be calculated on the basis of population estimate as per the census of which the relevant figure has been published. Now, leniency in updating the data. This is the evidential fact that the update part in the PDS has not yet been completed, and any sensible policies should have been built in the mechanism of updating the coverage annually, which account for the mass population. And between the last census, that is 2011 today, the population increase has been accounted and determining the number of the ration card, which should definitely be increased. And no one could have anticipated that the 2021 census could be postponed indefinitely. This means that the decadal update has also not happened, and many of the beneficiaries which is actually eligible for the benefit under the PDS are being exempted from their actual rights and benefits. Now, sidestepping the court suggestion, Supreme Court ने इसके regarding basically cognizance लिया इस matter में, and the Supreme Court has taken into account that the delay census could suggest solutions to use the population projections. Official population projections की बात की गई है that are available to them with the Registrar General of India, but the government response sidestepping the suggestions. And there was no direction from the court to change the coverage, that is from 50% in the rural area to 75% in the 50% in the urban area, just to correct you, 50% in the urban area and 75% in the rural area, right? Where government respond mischievously attempt to divert the discussion towards the fixation of the capping, right? So it should definitely be increased because the number of the people which is residing in the rural area is higher, and they definitely require more PDS enrollment. And on the basis of the Niti Aayog views, the government responds that one of the prime concern was fixing the ceiling at that time, and even the enactment of the National Food Security Act as a standard of living for the people that would improve over the period and the coverage may reduce, but this has actually not happened. Now, the coverage by the states, though it's not a state responsibility on the account of the hardship faced by the people, it is definitely the duty of the central government to increase and leverage this. But बहुत सारे ऐसे states हैं जिसने out of box decision लिए. The states include Chhattisgarh and Odisha. They have expanded the coverage of central determined quota. And according to the estimate, about 109 million people from the National Food Security Act beneficiaries were supported by the central government. An additional 90 million people has been access to the same benefit under the PDS and as the National Food Security Act beneficiaries of the state government. And state will be subsidizing around 51 million people, but the entitlement were less than as compared to the National Food Security Act beneficiaries. And there's no attempt to understand or addressing the hardship of the people who are actually deprived of the food security and net that the PDS actually provide. What is a way forward if you're writing specifically in mains examination, or suppose you are even writing for the case studies in general studies paper 4, right? अगर आप case studies भी attempt कर रहे हैं. So the Robust, you have to write that the robust procurement trend and comfortable food stock positions are which makes the expansion more affordable, and this will ensure जो पीडीएस की reachability है वो marginalized section of society को भी मिले. Instead of allowing the government to delay it any further, the Supreme Court की जो order है, directives है, वो government को follow करने की जरूरत है. With an additional coverage of roughly 100 million people across the states, I'd identify with the new ration card beneficiaries, and poor people should have not pay the price for the state future in conducting the 2021 census. So government need to take care of basically hypothetically also they can have assumptions about the data, and the beneficiaries should be immediately added so that they are not being abstained from their benefits which is given by the government. Now, moving ahead with the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first questions, the correct option is A. For second question, the correct option is C. Today's MCQ for practice, आपको Malabar exercise के बारे में बताना है. The Malabar exercise is an annual trilateral exercise between the navies of India, Japan, and United States. The exercise is held alternatively in Indian and Pacific Ocean. So do check it out for the correct option. Second question of the day, that is the Gender Inequality Index is released by World Economic Forum, UNDP, Save the Children, or Transparency International. Index and reports are very important topics for the UPSC prelims examination. So get a hand on it, revise a lot more questions so that it can give you an extra edge in the real examination. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.